I would have to say I'm a music fan and a musician because of my father. He was a huge music fan. I was born in England. He was in the military in 1965, so we were over there. He was a Stones freak. We were over there for the British explosion with the Who and the Kinks and all whatnot, And that got me. My dad being into the Stones got me into the rock scene, basically. I started playing piano as a kid because of Elton John. The first record I ever bought was Elton John's Greatest Hits Volume 1, and they wouldn't teach me, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road or some shit, so I quit lessons. And later picked up and self-taught myself on guitar. But my dad listened to the records around the house of Stones and, all the old stuff, Beatles, whatever. Pretty much got me into the rock scene. Kiss, Ace Frehley was God to me. Around 75, some kid brought a picture of Kiss to school, and some friends of mine's older brother had just gotten Kiss Alive 1, so that is probably my favorite album of all time. And my parents bought me an Epiphone acoustic and said, if you show some promise and take interest in it and stick with it, we'll buy you an electric for Christmas next year. So I busted ass and taught myself Black Diamond, and of course I learned Smoke on the Water and One String and all that kind of crap. And my folks got me a 78 Black Les Paul Custom. Was my first proper electric guitar, which of course I still have and I'll never get rid of it. And off I went. I grew up in New Orleans, greatest city in the world to us, guys it down. And my first gig ever was at my grammar school, elementary school, whatever you call it. We played, it was 1980, I was 15 years old, and we played the fair, and we were absolutely horrible. But we started playing the New Orleans scene, the cover songs circuit, places like the Quarter Note, the Showboat, all the little clubs that all bands played at. And for me personally, I've been, I think, to 40 countries now. I'm going back to Europe in October. That'll be my 33rd trip to the UK and Europe. So my favorite places to play are probably, New York's always great, of course. London is fantastic. Anywhere in Germany. And my favorite venue, we played Brixton Academy in London, which was awesome. We played the Astoria a few times. London's one of my favorite places to play. So for me personally, I got to play CBGB's one time with CROWBAR. That was great. Played the Whiskey a million times. That's always cool. Most of the historic, rock gigs, from the little shithole dives for 20 people to, open air stuff with Metallica and stuff like that. So I've been fortunate with all that. But my, personal favorite venues, I like the old theaters. Like the first CROWBAR show ever was at a theater called State Palace Theater in New Orleans, which got flooded by Katrina, but it's being rebuilt. And we opened up for a band called Wrathchild America. And that was our first CROWBAR show back in 90 or something. Right. Weiss, as I said, was he got me into guitar. Actually, I wanted to play bass first. And my father talked me into playing guitar because I fell in love with Gene Simmons, of course. I was 10 years old who didn't like Kiss, But, Jimmy Page is a huge influence. Hendrix was an influence. Robin Trower is one of my favorite players. My favorite player is Michael Schenker. I'm a Thin Lizzy fanatic. I have like 3 or 4 Thin Lizzy tattoos. So, Scott Gorham, Brian Robertson, Gary Moore, when he played with him, is one of my favorites. That's basically what I was schooled on, was, those type of guys. Ace, Schenker, Trower, David Gilmour, that era. And that's really the only guitar players that really influenced me. Frank Marino in Mahogany Rush. Frank Marino, which was one of Zach's favorite guitar players, was an influence as well. And, they're just basically blues, rock and roll blues guys. I appreciate the Yngwies and whatnot, but I'm more blues-based rock and roll guy. My first cover song band was called Victorian Blitz, and we didn't do much of the hair metal stuff. In the beginning, we strictly did Motorhead, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, things like that. Saxon, Twisted Sister, Riot, bands like that. And then as the scene started to progress, and the Motley Crues, and we never did Poison and stuff like that, but we we started it. We did some Rat songs. We started to kind of have to. You had to do what the promoters wanted at the gig. You couldn't get the gig. You were allowed to do so many originals, but you had to play a certain amount of songs that were popular at the time in order to get the gig in the first place. You know, we do the 3, 4, 5 sets a night thing, 6, 7 days a week sometimes. And you know, I mean, I'm still a big Crew fan. Actually, Shout at the Devil's a great record, classic to me. As far as most of the other hair bands, I wouldn't say many of them were an influence or anything, but there's some good ones. Actually, my favorite '80s era hair band, if you want to call it, is Skid Row, and it has nothing to do with the fact that Snake manages. It doesn't. I just thought they were the best of the lot, basically, you know. And like I say, not much of an influence, but I liked them. I saw Pantera open for Skid Row in New Orleans on New Year's Eve, 91 or 2 or something like that. And, you know, but I do appreciate the musicianship. Dokken, I'm a George Lynch fan, big fan of his, great player. And, you know, I appreciate that musicianship from all the guys. A lot of good guitar players came out of that era.